Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Hoops All In podcast. I'm your host, Werls Francois, co-host Kyle Anthony, co-host Kaine Legacy, and we got a special guest joining us today, a good friend of mine, Gabriel. Gabriel, man, how you doing? What's going on?
Doing amazing today. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
No problem, man. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you taking the time. And as you can see, this man is grinding. He's currently at work right now, ladies and gentlemen, doing this podcast. If that ain't hustle and grinding, I don't know what is.
That's what's
Much
up.
respect.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And as always, Kyle, always grinding. We want to be able to do some of the things that we do on this podcast without him. Same thing with Kaine too, as well. So always got to shout the team out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Same to you,
No problem, man.
Same to you,
Appreciate that.
I don't think we say it enough, but thank you for keeping us on track like you do, Wells. We appreciate you.
No problem, man. We all the team. All right. So
Let's hug it out.
Coronavirus. 6 feet, please.
Going down.
All right. So let's get started. Let's get started here as we had a lot of hoops to talk about. So,
hey, I gotta say, before you get started, you just passed me the red cup, didn't you? Let me pass it back to you.
I get nothing.
Sure.
Got you next time, Kyle.
I got you
next
nothing.
time. Oh no,
All
what's
right.
in my cup? Every time they see me, cups go up.
All right. I'm sorry, man. Go ahead. I needed a laugh. Yeah.
No, you good.
So and I need a drink.
So we're just coming off the brink of NBA All-Star Weekend at the time of this recording. So a lot of great things happened that weekend. We want to talk about the recaps. Now, what did you guys think about possibly what everyone's calling the worst dunk contest of all time? The All-Star game was phenomenal. LeBron James hit the game winner in his hometown back in Cleveland, where it all started. Obviously from Akron, but hit it back where it all started in his hometown. Steph Curry went bananas from three as usual. So I want to ask your guys' opinion and takes. What was your overall thoughts on the All-Star weekend in its totality? Kyle?
Well, first of all, I think that the dunk contest, if those dunks had taken place years ago, and I'm not trying to make a joke, but what I'm getting at is that there's been so many over the top dunks and gimmicks, with gimmicks and things like that, and props and whatnot. It's really hard to do anything original now. It's like I kind of feel like in-game dunks are far more exciting than standing there waiting for a guy to get ready to do it, and they get so many attempts. You lose the crowd. And everybody is all that anticipation. People are waiting for something that's going to blow them away, and that has not happened in a while. So I don't really consider this particular one as the worst ever. I just think that the bar has been set so high, there's really nowhere to go at this point, and again, sometimes these things happen in real time and it's hard to catch them, which is why the judges have to watch them in slow-mo, which is why they might be a little biased, but I do feel that Obi Toppin had the better dunks, because once you saw them in slow motion, they were better. They were obviously, he was deserving of considering his competition. He didn't take 15 attempts. He didn't take 10 minutes to change his shoes. He didn't do any of those things, whatever. And he pulled them off with little or no mistakes. So that's all I got on the dunk contest. But yeah, there were moments where I was like tempted to just change the channel just to watch a commercial. But I think it was fine. What about you thinking?
I mean, the high point of the whole thing was, what's his name, Cole dunking in those Timberlands. That was pretty crazy, but I mean, I wouldn't do it, But then again, I like my knees how they are, so I don't know about dunking in Timberlands. But it was just too many misses, like too many missed attempts, like for me, like I'm gonna date myself here, but like coming up in the days of Vince Carter and MJ being in these dunk contests, like these dudes were nailing it first try, like it was second, like second nature to them. But like these cats, I just think there's no work ethic on this now. You know what I mean? You know, before, one thing I learned, right? And Kyle was actually one of my first teachers about this. When I do something, whether it's basketball or music or anything like that, before anybody sees it, before somebody sees me do it on the court or sees me do it when I'm behind the booth in the DJ booth, I have practiced it 1,000 times before anybody sees me even attempt it in public once. You see what I'm saying? And I think that work ethic right there is missing. You know, I don't practice till I get it right. I practice till I can't get it wrong. And all these missed dunk attempts just turned me off, man. It just showed me that they weren't really putting in the work beforehand, you know? So, nah, it's a pass for me.
Hey, what about you if you want to chime in?
Honestly, I think one of the funniest highlights was that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar just bounced. He was like, I'm not for this. I'm past my bedtime. I'm not having this. Excuse me, but this ain't the dunk contest. He left. He was out.
Yeah. I noticed that was a popular clip right there too. I think you know, I left somewhere in the comments at one point on Instagram that I kind of felt like it might have been more interesting to show footage of Oreos being dunked in milk at some point as opposed to actually watching this dunk contest. But
oh no!
Oh
my god!
But you know, again, worst ever. No, what I think they should change is the number of attempts that people get, because alluding to Kaine's point, if you're practicing the way you should be practicing, you really don't need 5-6 attempts, and then on top of that, an attempt is only considered an attempt if you've extended your arm in a downward motion with the ball, you know, as if you're looking, you know, as if calling a ball versus calling strike in baseball. You know what I mean? I think that once you go up there, once you head towards the hoop, that should be considered an attempt. And you shouldn't really get so many to the point where it just makes the crowd restless and it just becomes really boring. I really just, you know, that's, if anything, that's the thing that they should consider, because they were tossing around all these different ideas. Oh, you know, change the format or change the timing or change the sequence. I think that's what it was. And I just don't think that it really comes down to where you put it. It's a matter of how you can make it so it's less boring with the anticipation factor.
Yeah. Go ahead, Gabe, if you want to say something.
No. I totally agree with what he's saying. Like, honestly, it's like the dunk contest I feel like when you're watching the dunk contest, lately it's just been a drag.
Yes.
That's really what it comes down to. It's just a drag.
Yeah. There you go.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, for sure.
Simply put.
I think that something that they could have done to try to, you know, and Kyle, before I continue, you actually you said something, I wrote it down. The bar was set too high in terms of we're already seeing the creativity, we're already seeing the explosiveness. I think the height of when the bar was set too high was 2016, when Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon possibly put on the greatest dunk contest of all time. That was when they elevated it to another level. And we won't see that type of, you know, creativity, that athleticism, the hanging in the air. So that was when it was at its all-time peak. And as basketball fans like myself, and we all are, we kind of got spoiled about it, because it was like, okay, well, can they top it next year? Can they top it the year after that? And it was like, you won't get much better dunking in terms from athletes, from NBA players, what you saw in 2016 between the two. Another thing that you wrote down too, that you said that I wrote down, was eliminate number of attempts. They actually tried to implement that, because I believe now that you only get 3 dunk attempts if you have full control of the basketball. Shaquille O'Neal, going back in 2016, Shaq was one of the judges that actually helped make the dunk contest so great in 2016 between Gordon and LaVine. Because what was Shaq doing? What was his rule? You got to make it on the first attempt. If you missed the dunk on the first attempt, I don't care what it was. If it was a 720, if you did between your legs, you turn around 2 times, he was knocking you a point off. He was going to give you a 9, because he's like, you got to make it on the first attempt. And his reason behind it was so valid. At first, when I watched it, I was like, what? Like, come on, you seen that incredible dunk? Like, that's hard as hell to do. But Shaq was like, no, you got to make it on this first attempt, because in the dunk contest, we have, first of all, as humans, we have short attention spans. So when you have the hype, you have the energy of the crowd, you got to capitalize it like that. And so when you don't capitalize on your first attempt, the energy of the crowd dies down a lot. And it's like, oh, damn, you should have made it on the first attempt. And it's like, so Shaq in 2016 actually helped make the dunk contest so great because of his judging skills. He was going to knock you a point. You were all going to get an automatic 9 if you missed it on your first attempt. And then, like I said, I think that, you know, what can they do? I mean, they tried having, you know, especially this year, top in game dunkers like Anthony Edwards and John Morant. They try having John Morant dunk contests, and those guys like, no, I'm just in game dunker. So it was like, what can you do to try to fix it? I don't know. Maybe do you bring, you know, YouTubers who perform these crazy dunks into the NBA dunk contest? You pay them a couple, you know, $100,000 millions of dollars, and then the winner gets a nice car and they donate the money to charity. That could be something to kind of revitalize it. You know, you still keep the 3 dunk attempts there. Do you just have, like, you know, a posterized dunk contest? I don't know. Like, it's just because that right there was not a perfect representation of what the NBA dunk contest should be about. Like it's just, I said, the dunks, the creativity was there. It's just when you give somebody 30 minutes to perform one dunk and they missed every single attempt, you're gonna have a snooze fest in the crowd.
Or give them 10 minutes to change into their Tims. Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally agree. But you know, I just feel like that's a good point. You know, maybe involve other elements in terms of other people. You know, I mean, you saw it with the Rising Stars game. You know, you had some G League players in there as well. So I mean, you know, that's something that can make it interesting. Actual dunkers who are not NBA players, that could always, it's worth a try. But yeah,
that was a bad representation. Hopefully, I mean, Stephen A said it best. Obi Toppin should be ashamed he won that award, because that was not, you know.
Well,
nothing against your Knicks. Nothing against your Knicks.
No. I just feel like a win is a win. I'm assuming what Stephen A meant was he should be ashamed because of the low bar of his competitors. Yeah. You know what I mean? But he still came out the best, regardless of how low the bar was set. So if that's all it took for him to win, he still was the best in the competition.
Hey, Obi does these dunks in game too. I mean,
yeah.
Like, I don't even know why he was missing. You know what I mean? At all, because I've seen him do it in game. You know? Yeah.
Well, again, I think it's just that there are some in-game dunkers, and there's the element of excitement because the crowd wasn't expecting it, and it's just something exciting to watch in the whole environment of a game. You know what I mean? Whereas you're sitting there and you're saying, this is what I'm expecting to see. I'm expecting to see a dunk. I'm not expecting to see breakaway attempts or fast break attempts. I'm expecting to see a dunk. So wow me or else. You know, so that's where that is.
Yeah. We better start watching ball as life, because those are more exciting than the dunk contest at this point.
Bring your Oreos and your milk.
Fair enough.
Also, a quick little question I want to ask you guys. In 2016, who really won that good dunk contest? It should have been Aaron Gordon. I believe, listen, just a little mini rant. When you sit in midair, okay, and you grab the ball between, like, you're sitting in midair and you did a crutch, jumping over a mascot, how do you not win? That's all I have to say. If they had Aaron Gordon, Aaron Gordon should have won 2016, but I believe if he had won, rightfully so, maybe he could have participated this year, last year, and it wouldn't have gotten such, you know, horrible ratings that it did. But I'm just saying, you won't see that type of creativity and finesse that he did in 2016. Should have been
ironically. Well, okay, yeah. Well, we're not gonna. Yeah, that's 6 years ago.
I'll pass on that. I'll let you speak to that, man. Because
Gabriel, because I have the one point I just wanted to make is that just an aside is that this year's All-Star weekend overall, or at least the main game, I should say. Sorry, not the weekend. Definitely not the whole weekend, but the All-Star game overall was rated higher than last year. So whatever the draw was, even though it wasn't the dunk contest, obviously something worked for the NBA and the network. But anyway, Gabe.
Honestly, I just want to give a shout out to Carl Anthony Towns, man. He definitely crushed it the other day. Definitely did crush it. I mean, with all the 3-pointers in the contest, I mean, who's better than him right now?
I think, and that's a good point, but I think he was at one point. I think he was misquoted or misheard, because I even think I misheard him, or maybe it was one of the announcers saying this when he supposedly called himself the best big man shooter of all time. I was like, I don't know about that.
No,
I mean,
he did. He said that. Yeah.
I think Dirk Nowitzki would have something to say about that. I think a few players would have something to say about that. But it's good to have that self-confidence. But anyway, I digress.
I mean, you have self-confidence, but you can't be, ridiculous about it. Like you said, Dirk, KD. Hell, I think KG was probably a better big man shooter than him. So it's like let's slow the roll there, cat. Oh, okay. So all right, what would you grade the game? So obviously Steph went bananas. I think he had 16 threes. Kyle and Kaine picked them. LeBron hit the game winner. So what'd you think overall impressions of the game?
I think it was a great time for Steph to shine and shut up all the same people who were booing just maybe an hour before that or so, whatever. I think there's no way that everybody in that audience was a hometown Cleveland fan. Not everybody. So it's funny how the boos were so loud during other points of the weekend. But I think he showed who the best man, the best shooter in the league was right then and there, and that was the perfect time for him to do it. I'm sorry, I wish he had broken the record, but he came damn near close, and I'm happy for that.
Yeah. That no look from the logo was pretty dope. I'll give him.
And then turning around, how about the other one from the corner three where he turns around before it falls and asks the people if it went in. That was dope.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, during the season, I'm not a Steph fan because he's fighting my sons right now. You know what I mean, for top spot. So I'm not a fan, but he did his thing in the All-Star game. He definitely did. Man. I was glad to have him on our side for a change. Yeah.
If you can't beat him, join him.
I respect him. It don't mean, you know what I mean? I do respect him. Regardless of whether Werls might think something so or not, I respect Kyrie. It's just, I can't, you know what I mean? I don't root for the other side. I just don't do that, So.
Right.
Well, I mean, it should note to mention that he almost carried you against our bet that we had, which announcement I won.
Yeah,
my starters.
You did win. I owed Werls a steak dinner, so everybody knows this. Next time I get to NYC, I owe him a steak dinner because we picked players based on stats. And I thought Steph was going to pad the stats enough for me to win by himself, and he almost did. Yeah. So you almost had to go into your savings account there, buddy.
Right. I just want to know what kind of steak this is going to be. And Gabe, you're invited too, because this steak dinner is going to be. I just want to be there just to watch, just to see what the order placed and the bill come, the check come.
He's just gonna sit there and savor every bite of it. I know you.
Oh yeah, I gotta rub it in. Talk about. All right, but hey, at least we got that on record.